The courtroom buzzed with the usual hum of legal proceedings. The judge, a man in his early 60s with a stern reputation, flipped through the case file before him. In the defendant's chair sat Mabel Collins, a petite woman in her 70s with a neat bun and quiet demeanor. She wore a simple navy dress, but those who knew her understood she had a far more intricate role in the world than anyone in that room could guess. Mabel had come to court to fight a charge, an accusation that she had vandalized a local business. The evidence was flimsy at best, but the case was being taken seriously, and she was being treated like a nuisance by the court staff. Most people saw her as just a little old lady, nothing more. As the judge, Judge Samuel Turner, surveyed the room, he barely glanced at Mabel. His focus was more on the lawyer representing her. But when the proceedings began, his attitude took a sharp turn. "Ms. Collins," Judge Turner said with a grin, "you're here for vandalism. Surely you didn't do it yourself. Was it some sort of miscommunication?" Mabel, unshaken, smiled back, her eyes glinting with a quiet wisdom that had served her in both the courtroom and her professional life. "No, Your Honor, I did not vandalize anything, but I do have proof that someone else did." "Oh," Judge Turner raised an eyebrow. "And who might that be, Ms. Collins?" "I believe we will find that out shortly," Mabel replied calmly, her voice steady. The courtroom, mostly filled with employees and a few spectators, could feel the change in the atmosphere. The judge, who had begun the session with a mocking tone, seemed to pause, his eyes narrowing just slightly. He didn't know it yet, but he was about to learn that he had misjudged his opponent entirely. "Would you like to present your evidence, Ms. Collins?" the judge asked, a little less patronizing now. "Yes," Mabel said, pushing a button on a small device that activated a projector. A large screen behind her lit up. The first image was a surveillance video from the local business where the alleged vandalism occurred. The image was grainy, but there was no mistaking the figure. Mabel's voice was steady. "This is the man I suspect of committing the vandalism. However, as you can see from the timestamp, the person in question entered the business at 2:15 a.m., and I too was at the location, attending a routine inspection at 3 a.m. The room fell silent. Judge Turner looked up sharply. "You were... where?" "Working," Mabel replied with a small, knowing smile. "I'm an FBI police chief, Your Honor. My job includes investigating various criminal activities, and I had been at that business, conducting an undercover operation that same evening." The judge's expression shifted from amusement to shock, then to a deep, uncomfortable silence. As Mabel continued to present her case, the judge's demeanor shifted rapidly. His previously flippant attitude vanished as he realized the gravity of the situation. The evidence Mabel provided showed not only that she was innocent, but that she had been performing an official investigation at the time the alleged crime occurred. The court watched as the once dismissive judge, now deeply embarrassed, began to acknowledge his mistake. The prosecution attempted to salvage some dignity, but Mabel's calm authority and undeniable evidence made it clear they were on the losing side. The case, as it turned out, had been based on a hunch and circumstantial evidence, which all fell apart under scrutiny. "Ms. Collins," Judge Turner said, his tone now respectful, "I apologize for any disrespect I may have shown you. It appears I misjudged you." "No harm done, Your Honor," Mabel replied with a polite nod, though her voice carried the weight of someone who had seen much more than anyone could ever guess. Mistakes happen. By the time the hearing concluded, it was clear. The judge had learned a valuable lesson about underestimating people based on their appearance. The courtroom left in stunned silence. But Mabel walked out with the grace of someone who had long been used to fighting battles in both courtrooms and dark corners, where the truth was harder to find. As she stepped out into the sunlight, Mabel allowed herself a quiet smile. She had expected this moment, but most importantly, she had stood up for what was right, showing that a simple, seemingly harmless woman could be far more than anyone ever imagined.